lighter blue, just to do a little dry brush to highlight. In this case, I'm actually using this one, this layer Techless Blue, but obviously you could simply mix some white with whatever colour you'd used as your base colour, just to get a highlighting colour in there. So again, we're going to put just a little bit on the tip of the brush, not too much, just enough, and wipe the vast majority of it off. Seems a bit wasteful, but the effect is what we're looking for here. So just scrub it off on a bit of paper towel at the side here, a bit of kitchen towel will do. So it's almost gone, and then what we're going to do is we're going to dry brush down from the top to get a highlight effect and see how it works. Not a method I use very much, but for the sake of this, we're going to give it a bit of a go. Right. There we go. Straight away, you can see we're just picking out the top edges. Now, with an armoured warrior like this, when there's lots of nice sharp edges to pick up, you'll find that it does do quite a nice job. So let's just brush along the arms there, the arm here again, from the top down if possible, and we're going to do the same on the pauldron. So literally flicking down and very slowly building up layers of a slightly lighter colour as we move around, and leaving obviously that black line in between the pauldron and the actual rim of the pauldron. And I'll just do that. So, yeah, I mean, with this we can really go from the top of the model all the way down to the bottom like that. And that's a fairly quick job. We're going to do the backpack as well. Any metal bits we will just go over with the metal, but we'll do that as a separate stage later. What we're doing is just getting in a little bit more colour and highlighting. It's kind of a simple way to get edge highlights. Now you can literally get a brush and take your lighter colour and line each individual panel. Gives a very nice effect, very crisp. If you see lots of the heavy metal style painters will do that, but if you're looking to just get your models on the tabletop quickly with a nice effect, you can always do it this way. And remember, you can always go around with the original blue or whatever colour you've used as your base colour, and you can always neaten it up later. That's a good thing with paints. If you make an error, just have your other paints on standby, and you can always just bob round and neaten them up later. So as you see, I'm just literally flicking it, sort of brushing it very lightly, just so it picks up on the edges of all the armour. I'm going to turn him around and just do that way a bit as well. Okay, so actually looking at how the armour plates are and making sure that you just pick out the colour that you're doing, just picks out on the raised edges and avoids the flat edges as much. The sort of curved surfaces of the shoulder pads are a little bit more problematic, but you're literally just going to, almost like a makeup brush I suppose, just sort of splodge it on. Little circles also does quite nicely, just to sort of build up layers of colour on the top. And I think that looks like it's starting to look a little bit more three-dimensional already. So I'll just flick underneath there as well. This other shoulder pad, and look, I've actually not reloaded my brush with paint. This is just the initial bit, the initial load up that we did. And there's done basically a whole model without needing to go back. Because again, while it feels a bit wasteful of paint, in some ways it's actually quite an efficient way of using it. Because it's literally just picking up little bits of pigment with each flick of the brush and just putting it on the areas where it needs to be. There we go. A bit more around here. Again, we're going to flick over. It'll go on the black rim, but we're going to tidy up the black rim and then just maybe put some metallic around that, just to pick out the edges of his shoulder pads in the traditional ultramarine blue and gold manner. Just put a bit more around the edge there. Other methods as well. You can literally take the blue, the lighter colour, and just go round the edge of the pad, and that looks quite nice as well. That's a very traditional way of doing it, but a lot more people are just using a lot of dry brushing now, because for a while dry brushing went very, very out of fashion in the I'd say in the late 90s into the 2000s. Almost a dirty word, but now a lot of people are getting back into that. I mean, we won't mention slap chop for the moment because that's a bit more complicated, well, a bit simpler. But if you're using speed paints, then obviously this is basically a stage of slap chopping, and you could go over with a colour afterwards to sort of blend the two areas together. But as we're just using some basic, very basic paints, as you might do for a club starting session, we're just going to keep it nice and straightforward. Just push and flick them in his faceplate there. I'll pick out the grill. There we are, and that's starting to look really pretty cool. These are nice models anyway, but certainly look the part. Just a bit of a flicker across the back as well. I think, whoop, there we go. 5 or 6 minutes, and that's that stage pretty much done. And again, when we put some wash on the edges, that's going to bring out some of the detail as well. So I'll just put a little bit more on these areas here, because obviously the light's coming down and catching there. So just from the top down, maybe put a little bit more paint on the brush here, actually, just a little more. And we're just going to go from the top down, just put a little bit more on him. Just build up those layers nicely. Yeah, and there. The top vents. Yeah, just literally flip from the top down. It'll do most of the work for you. His hand, other hand there, his fingers. As he's grasping his bolt gun. Bolt rifle with both hands firmly there. The knee pad, just work that round in a circle. There we go. And again, just around the back of those greaves. I think is the bit that greaves, sabatons are your feet. I think greaves is around the shins. There. And I think that for the moment, a bit more of that shoulder pad maybe, just build up the layers a bit. There we are. I think for the moment that will do. So, pop back in a moment and we'll do some other details. I think what we'll do next is we'll just tidy up any areas in black. We'll do the bolt gun and the chest acquiller. Maybe pick out a knee pad in a contrasting colour. So, here we go.